Suspense that will clutch you like quicksand, pulling you down into bottomless depths of suffocating horror.
Hello, welcome to Cynic Critique, where we get real with cult films. I'm your host Brian, and I'm here with my brother and co-host, my bro-host, Thomas.
Hello.
After last week's buzz of finishing the Fly franchise, this week we discussed the films that paired with the Fly Trilogy from the original cinematic releases. Those three B-movies being 1958's Space Master X7, 1959's The Alligator People, and lastly, 1965's Devils of Darkness. Do you want to start us on?
Yeah, 1958's Space Master X7.
As the specimens grow, their need for nourishment also increases. Because of its color, I call this organism blood rust.
Directed by Edward Burns? Burns?
Yeah, it's a hard name.
Yeah, I didn't have it last time, did I? Written by George Worthington Yates, Daniel Mainwaring, and Edward Burns also co-wrote. Starring Bill Williams as John Hand, Lynn Thomas as Laura Greeling, Robert Ellis as Private Joe Rattigan, and Paul Frees as Dr. Charles Palmer. Sounded like Palmer.
Yeah, it definitely sounded like Palmer when they talked, like Palmer.
Budget on IMDb is an amazing $125,000.
Yep, not like they had to spend much, is it?
No, it's not. And the synopsis: a fungus brought from space threatens to grow and spread, devouring everyone in its path. Doesn't do much devouring, does it?
No.
Sorry, spoilers.
Yeah.
It doesn't do much devouring.
Yeah. Also, spoilers. 2 people in the whole film's runtime, I believe.
Maybe.
And one of them was off camera.
This is probably one where I really enjoy the concept. And it's not really a difficult concept.
No, because the concept really is
similar with like the Blob and even say like the Thing, I guess.
Yeah. A space entity that just consumes anything that seems to get in its way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did enjoy how it was done, but the concept of it. But I think I would have preferred it if there was more death.
And more space mastering. Space Master X7, if I'm right, was the name of the shuttle that you see launched at the very beginning of the film.
Yeah, which brings back the fungus, which they call blood rust.
Yeah, due to its colour.
Yeah.
Not that you can see its colour, it's a black and white feature, so just go along with it.
Yeah.
We see grey, but just pretend it's red for their sake.
And he said, I don't think I'd be afraid of something that looks like a rug coming to kill me.
Yeah. That's what it looked like in the film.
Yeah.
Just like a little piece of cloth that was pulsating, but I'm guessing somebody was blowing air into it. There's a great concept here, but...
Yeah, it just doesn't hold up. Maybe it's one of them where if you watch it at the time, you might think this is a bit different and a bit cool and whatnot.
Yeah, but then you're pairing it with The Fly.
Oh, yeah, I suppose.
It loses a lot, right, from that?
Yeah.
In fact, you sit through this to watch The Fly, if I'm right, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I guess you're thinking, this is okay, and then The Fly comes out and you're like, whoa, this is in colour and it's so bombastic.
Yeah.
I didn't read anything about it before going in.
No.
But with a title like Space Master X7, I assumed more space stuff.
Yeah, you were expecting a space adventure thing. Or...
Yeah, like a Buck Rogers or a Flash Gordon type thing, you know. Some space travel and fighting some alien creatures or something. And I assumed Space Master was the name of a guy or a soldier, and I thought X7 was like his code. You know, like a Master Chief situation.
So you thought it's like Halo and Master Chief.
Yeah. And now I feel so foolish to have ever thought a thing.
Yeah.
So who's laughing now?
Me. I enjoyed it. For an hour 10, I think it's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's also one of them things with this, because I think they've all done this, these three. In fact, I don't think Devils of Darkness does.
Probably not.
It's narrated like the events have already transpired. And I think the rocket launch scene itself at the beginning, bearing in mind this is like 10 years before the actual space launch to the moon.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming we'd have rockets launched by that point. I'm not 100%. I'm sure we will have had, just not to the moon, right?
Yeah, they didn't land.
But the actual rocket launching sequence itself looks pretty great.
Yeah.
And there's actually a good discussion in there in the opening from one of the scientists discussing the dangers of bringing back alien life and how threatening it could be.
Yeah.
But he doesn't say that alien life will be humanoid in shape or a bipod or anything like that. He actually says it could be bacterial or microscopic life forms and so on.
Yeah.
Which I think was a really good concept, and it's great to know that clearly people were thinking that way back then. Because, this is nearly 70 years ago?
Yeah.
Have I got that right?
Yeah, nearly 70 years.
So I just didn't expect that line of thought back then, so I thought that was quite nice to see. And it was quite a good monologue. In fact, that little description there about that was my favourite thing. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for that. As for characters, I think like Dr. Palmer is the main guy, isn't he? In the first act.
Yeah.
He's the scientist. Because it's kind of two acts, it seems. It's him in the first half, discovering the life form and setting it up. And then the last half is his ex-wife, kind of on the run.
Yeah. I mean, so she became like the main character.
And Dr. Palmer, I thought, seemed quite forceful with his ex. Like, he's very, you will do what I say kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is not something I'm particularly great of.
Yeah.
And also later on, when she's there in his lab while he discovers it, and then the idea is that she's been contaminated.
Yeah.
And they only know she's been at the lab when they go to investigate his crime scene, I guess, after it's killed him.
Yeah.
They hear her on a recording and manage to track her down.
Yeah.
And they had a good speech then about how one person spreading it can be the cause of many lives.
Yeah.
And I thought this is a really good example again of science when you think of how recent it was with COVID and how quick that spread, and this is the 50s. And so I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
One problem I had of this as well, and I don't know if it was films of this era or them trying to save time and money, a lot of narration about things that are happening in screen.
Yeah.
Or didn't need narrating just to cover a scene while we're in a scene. Like there's a part where she's buying train tickets.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm guessing they never recorded the audio clear and couldn't get her to do pickups or something for ADR, or if ADR was even done in the 50s.
I really don't know.
But then we just get a narrated guy saying that...
ADR was definitely done in the 50s because the Fly...
Oh, yeah. But there's a narration over in there while she's buying tickets about her buying the tickets. It's like, we can obviously see that's what she's doing.
Yeah.
What is going on here?
Yeah, it did do a lot of that. And you're kind of wondering why. It's like they paid the narrator guy.
Yeah.
And it's like, we've got a narrator. Let's use it.
Yeah. But for early sci-fi, I don't think this really did anything particularly special for me of its era when we've got The Fly that same year. And then, like I said, there's the Flash Gordons and Buck Rogers. Although I guess this is maybe one of the more grounded approaches at doing...
Yeah.
Because similar to The Blob, like you said, or The Thing in the 50s version, it's like a weird alien creature feature. And
it's like Frankenstein.
And I guess you could say this is a creature feature, but the fact they've gone with this more bacterial, fungal thing kind of adds this layer of realism to it that the Blob didn't have, where the Blob just goes like, all right, lunacy, I guess, with this bubblegum-coloured blob.
Yeah, I did enjoy this. I thought it was pretty good. But when you look at like the original The Thing, that didn't really have many character deaths at all.
No.
It's like back then they didn't really want to kill many characters. And so this is a bit of escapism. Let's not kill too many people, eh?
Yeah.
I did enjoy this one. I had a lot of fun with it, like for what it was.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed it, but I felt the title really gave me something else.
Yeah, the title...
Although if they'd have called it Blood Rust, I think I'd have had a similar problem. But Blood Rust to me sounds like it's some sort of venereal infection.
I know what you mean.
Like, it sounds like a precursor to herpes or something.
Yeah. You think maybe they thought, I've got a cool name for the bacteria.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's great, we'll probably call the film that. And then they're kind of like, no, Blood Rust. Nah, not a good title for a movie. Why don't you name it after the ship that went up?
Yeah. I guess also Blood Rust sounds a little more horror.
Yeah.
I think they wanted to be more, like I said, realistic sci-fi than see themselves as a horror, because horror has always been seen as the cheap, nasty, don't watch it films.
So in a way, they name it after the shuttle that comes back with it, which is kind of what it is all about, really. So it's not like but it is a very big title for the grounded levels of infection. For anyone looking this film up, you're probably not going to find it on a streaming service. And you'll probably find that it is regarded as a lost film. Yeah. Because apparently the 35mm Regal scope print is maintained by UCLA. But don't worry, we watched this off YouTube for free. Yep. And honestly, the picture quality weren't all that great. Weren't too bad. So, but it was all right.
It was very pixely, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it could have been worse.
Yeah. I mean, for a lost film.
On YouTube.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. In fact, that's quite the bonus of this week's episode, I guess. All these films are very accessible via YouTube.
Yeah. So we kind of did what we were on about doing in the last episode. Why we did say, why don't we just look up films that you can just watch on YouTube?
Did I?
Yeah.
Or did you?
You did.
Right. You know what? I'm just going to go to my itinerary of this year and cross off a to-do list. films off YouTube. Check. But yeah, they're my initial thoughts I had with this.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't particularly think you can say much about cinematography back then because they were all very, I guess, like textbook in how they're made. Because they're made very similar to how the James Bond films have always been made up until... Would Casino Royale be the one where they first broke the formula of how they would film the Bond franchise?
I believe so.
Because they're always very, like, one camera, two guys in a room almost.
Yeah.
And then Casino Royale came and they tried to make it a bit more dynamic and cinematic because they were starting to look like TV movies, I guess.
Yeah.
But I guess that was also part of the thing. In similar to a TV series, if you notice when you watch a certain show, they all have their own style of how the camera's set up, when a scene will transition to the next. Because obviously the TV series are made for getting through episodes pretty quickly in production. And the Bond franchise was kind of that back then, wasn't it? Like you were getting a Bond film a year at some point. So
yeah,
I guess that would set up the thing. And then it's like, well, this is how Bond looks, so you have to keep that style, maybe, like a traditionalist thing.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned Edward Burns. That is such an awkward name to say, being the writer and director, well, co-writer and director on this.
Yeah.
He was close friends with Don Lamond, and I can't remember who Don Lamond is.
He one of the Three Stooges, or am I thinking
No,
of
that's
something
Mo.
else?
You're thinking of Mo.
All right, my bad.
Don Lamond is another biggish actor from that era anyway. He died in 2015 at the age of 88. But he's the salesman in an advert anyway that she sees in the hotel room, so it's kind of like a little Easter egg. Kind of like Mo Howard's the guy from the Three Stooges. I guess you've seen it, so I'll let you say it.
Yeah, Mo Howard's the guy from Three Stooges. He has a line, something like, I'm all by myself now, or something. That's the line, isn't it? I'm all by myself now. Yeah, in reference to the fact that the Three Stooges like just split up around that time.
They stopped working, yeah. He's also a cab driver, and he has a bit of a cameo for his part.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even recognise him, and I thought I was familiar with what the Three Stooges looked like. So I'm guessing they look a particular way in the Three Stooges and not anywhere else. This did get a Atari video game in the 80s.
Did you look that up, though?
Yeah, it's just the title of this film.
Oh, right.
I don't really have much more to say on this, unless you do.
Not really. I've kind of said what I wanted to say. Because I do think this is a really well-made film for the time and everything. I just think it's more of a retrospective. It's like some of the films were doing a bit more, or some of the films were doing things a bit better than, But I don't think this is necessarily bad or not even worth a watch. I think this is actually kind of worth a watch. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's films like these, when you consider remakes, that probably should be getting remade, where you can run with the concept a little further.
Yeah.
But people are more familiar with The Blob, and it's going to come a lot similar to that, right?
Yeah, I think if they remade this now, people go like, we've seen movies about mass virus, that sort of passing through and all that sort of thing as well. So it's just, it wouldn't do as well.
Because even if you will say, well, okay, we'll focus more on the space mission then and give a bit more of a horror vibe to that, you're just going to end up with something like Life. Yeah. From a few... Have we covered that?
Yeah, we did.
To 2017's Life. Oh, right, okay.
We did that in our alien-inspired movies. Yeah. No, I kind of like the fact this film even sort of changes main character like halfway through.
Yeah, and it's kind of two separate genres.
Yeah.
Because in the first genre, it is almost like this science fiction, investigative, what is this creature almost. And then the second half, it's almost a, what do you call it, where someone's on the run?
Fugitive.
A fugitive storyline, yeah.
I thought it was pretty cool. I did like it.
And she was pretty good. I can't remember her name. You've probably
Lynn Thomas.
Yeah, I quite liked her in this film.
Yeah, we're going to say she's actually probably the best.
I was going to say she seemed like the stronger of the leads.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to look up the cast because some of these have done some really good things. She wasn't in anything that I actually recognised by name anyway. No, sometimes they have names that stick out, but she didn't. I want to say she'd done a Western with the director of this. But yeah, I particularly enjoyed her performance in this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what she was in. The Adventures of Superman from the 50s series, which would be George Reeves.
Yeah.
And she'd done an episode of the Abbott and Costello show as well. Cheaper by the Dozen. She's an uncredited role in the original Cheaper by the Dozen, which was a 1950 film.
Yeah, right.
For those that didn't know that the Steve Martin hit that gained a sequel was a remake.
Right.
I believe I've seen the original.
Yeah, we have.
I'm quite fascinated by remakes and adaptations,
Really? We've had a whole season on it.
Yeah, I think we could get a whole year through it, if not more than.
Yeah, most likely.
Maybe we should have done that as a podcast. The original 1 week and then its remake the next.
Yeah.
Shall we move on, or do you want to say anything more on this?
I think we've said everything on this, haven't we?
Yeah. I haven't got much more to say, really, other than the fact that don't go in there expecting something great from its, like, what you would assume from its title.
You really are hung up on that title.
I just expected a real good sci-fi romp, and I got Loki the Blob.
For me, I was expecting what you were kind of expecting, and then I was actually pleasantly surprised, like, oh, this is actually a more interesting film. This has a bit more depth to it.
Yeah, but I love my, like, Flash Gordon sort of Buck Rogers thing.
Yeah, well.
Just an Earthman in space killing aliens because it's his right to, because the Americans made it.
Wow.
Maybe I took that too far. But that's what they did to America, Thomas.
What, they sent blood rust?
They might as well have. Paul Frees, the guy who plays Dr. Palmer, he has 2 roles in this film.
Yeah.
He's the voice towards the end that it can be heard at the public address system at the train station.
Right.
I think, if I'm right, he was known for being like a voice actor and narrator over being an actor. But I could be wrong on that.
Sounds about right.
I'll move us on anyway, yeah?
Yeah, alright.
The people of Alligator... No, sorry, the Alligator People. I don't know why I just said that. The people of Alligator.
The place, or...?
I guess so. So, the Alligator People from 1959.
I'm not leaving here, Mrs. Hawthorne, until I get the answers to the questions that brought me here. What have you done with my husband?
Written by Orville H. Hampton, with a story by Charles O'Neill, and then there's Robert M. Fresco, uncredited, and it's directed by Roy Del Ruth. I think that's a pretty cool name. The synopsis, as IMDb has it, is a woman in a hypnotic state recounts to 2 doctors the details of oh my god, that's so hard to say. Why is that hard to say? A woman in a hypnotic state recounts to 2 doctors the details of a horrific experience from her past life that began with the mysterious and sudden disappearance of her husband. God, there seem to be way more H's in that than necessary. It stars Beverly Garland as Joyce Webster, Bruce Bennett as Dr. Eric Larimer, Lon Chaney Jr. as Manon. He's just credited as Lon Chaney in this. He was the Wolfman, the original Wolfman.
Yeah.
George McCready as Dr. Mark Sinclair, Frida Inescort as Mrs. Lavinia Hawthorne, Richard Crane as Paul Webster, Douglas Kennedy as Dr. Wayne McGregor, and I don't think I really need to read the other names. Oh, and it was done on a budget for $300,000. I couldn't find a gross on this. Could you?
No.
Right. I'll let you share your thoughts first.
I'll be honest, I think this is the strangest one of these 3.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
It's my favourite of the
Read
3.
the title. That explains why.
I mean, the title's pretty self-explanatory.
Why does it have to be her under a hypnotic state?
I think the idea is, with a lot of, like, gothic horror, it's somebody finding, like, an old record of something or a file or something that's already happened, because it adds an idea of realism to it because they've discovered this document.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's one of them leftover tropes. And it kind of adds this other twist to it of, did that happen or not? Is this just how she deals with the events?
My only other thing, it was a husband actually eaten by an alligator, and she's really gone down a path of, I need to cope with this.
My first thought on this, though, was that the music is great. It's done by Irving Gertz.
Yeah.
That just sounds like a noise, I know. That's his name.
Sorry. Out here insulting everyone.
And when I looked him up, he seems to be mostly known for composing stock music used in many other films than actually conducting music for films,
right?
Which I thought was quite interesting. As for my other thoughts on this, bad editing.
Yeah,
there's a part where, and it's mostly just for one part, it's when she's in the car with Lon Chaney, there's an alligator in the middle of the road, and it kind of stops, and then he decides he's driving over it, and his head looks back to, like, look at the alligator, and then it just cuts and his head's facing forwards again. And it's like, wow, that was a poorly cut. And they just went along with it as if, like, nobody's going to notice.
And did they?
I did. I also wrote, trench coat half gator man is cool. Yeah.
Was it, though?
I thought so. The effect was really good. Like, the ridges in the skin that they'd done, the layer on the face makeup.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, it did look pretty good.
I've also made a note that says 56 minutes in, the doctor's description of how animals and humans differ is BS. But I've not written what it was he says. I'll see if I can find it on YouTube and just play that moment.
Yeah, it was pretty poor, whatever it was he said. If I'm right, he kind of describes the same thing.
Oh, the alligator people. You start searching the alligator people on YouTube and something called the Alligator Man comes up.
Complex nervous development, life processes are are governed by chemical substances.
I was about there.
I don't seem to have any choice, do I?
It's recording all this. Here we are. Great music though, right?
So you're a trained nurse, Mrs. Webster.
Yes, that's right.
Good.
I forgot she was a nurse.
Then you know something of the life processes of the higher and lower orders. In species like ourselves, with a highly developed nervous system, bodily functions are controlled principally by the brain and the nerves. But in creatures with a less complex nervous development, life processes are governed by chemical substances.
How was it caused by chemicals?
Gland.
But yeah, that's what didn't sit right to me. And that's also one of the reasons why there's an argument for the lack of free will. Did you know this?
No.
Because of how our brain constantly reacts to our environment. Obviously, each little signal creates different chemical releases and so on, that we're urged to respond by those chemicals that our brain's telling us to, which essentially means that we don't have free will.
Right.
I mean, you don't have to believe that's how it operates, because you don't have to react to every chemical reaction, but at the same time, there's probably something else happened that stopped you reacting to that chemical reaction and react to another way. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of puts free will out of your hands. It's something that a lot of religious people don't like to acknowledge when that comes up in atheist debates.
Right.
I don't know why I moved on to that, but anyway, his thing about humans and lower animals or whatever he just said is BS.
Right.
Because he says that we react through our amazing nervous system, but
Yeah.
lower developed nervous animals react through chemicals.
Yeah.
It's like, he's forgetting that we've got chemicals.
Yeah.
It just bothered me.
I was kind of right when I said, if I'm right, it was basically the same thing.
Yeah. He just drops a little more truthful science on one than the other.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's picked up well enough anyway through my microphone. If not, you can add that clip in, right?
Maybe.
Okay, maybe. Made me really sad knowing it won't be there. I'm
Right.
sorry, listeners. Thomas has failed us. All hope is lost.
Or review, because you could have wrote down what he said.
I was supposed to, but we've kind of rushed at getting this episode done due to life events
Yeah.
and plans.
I was looking in the quotes on IMDb just to see if they were in there, but they weren't. And then, the top two just really made me laugh because it's just man and
Well, that was
gator.
Lon Chaney's character, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Lon Chaney as the hook-armed, hate-maddened Cajun.
I'll kill you, alligator man! Just like I'd kill any four-legged gator!
And then dirty, stinking, slimy gators. They're the first two quotes.
If I'm right, the idea was that the scientist wanted to use animal DNA type thing to make us resilient to the sun. Was it?
This movie was whack, man.
I can't remember the reason why he did it, but it kind of made sense and I liked it. And I also wouldn't be surprised if this was part of the inspiration for Killer Croc in the Batman comics
Yeah.
from DC.
Maybe.
I quite enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that classic sci-fi horror stuff that I'm quite into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought it was whack, man.
Nah, it's like the Turtles, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah. I was a person and now I'm an alligator. Oh. The trailer gives a lot of this away.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember when I played the trailer?
Yeah. Well, it played after the film.
Oh, yeah.
Played through it. But yeah, it pretty much ruins the whole film.
Oh, apparently Bruce Bennett's second build, but he only appears in the framing scenes, like the beginning and the end clips with the two doctors.
Yeah.
And for those that wondered, Mrs. Hawthorne drives a 1959 Dodge station wagon. Oh, I said that weird. Dodge station wagon. And the swamp buggy that Dr. Sinclair drives is a Ford GPA amphibious military vehicle. And my favourite thing about this, and I'll let you say it, because I'm sure it's definitely one of yours, it involves your hero.
A portion of this film, showing the Alligator Man, appears in the film Trapped in Paradise, starring Nicolas Cage. Yeah, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
I can imagine him doing this as a movie, to be honest.
I mean, these are the sort of films he likes, don't they?
I can imagine him being the scientist guy.
No, he'd want to be the alligator man.
No, you'd think
No, he'd want to be Lon Chaney, the crazy guy that likes shooting gators.
Oh, maybe, yeah. I'm going to say you'd think he'd want to be one of the other two, and he'd
Lon,
be like, no, I
Lon
want
Chaney
to.
likes shooting the gators because one bit his hand off.
Yeah.
And he's made that his whole character now.
Yeah.
Like nothing else matters.
How you make it sound like Lon Chaney actually got his hand bit off by an alligator and decided he really wanted to be in this film.
And yeah, I was right. In 1983, 20th Century Fox produced a video game adaptation of the film for the Atari 2600.
Yeah.
It loosely follows the plot of the film, unlike some other 20th Century Fox adaptations, which just used the film title. Looking at you, Space Master X7. Where was my blood rust? Though the game never saw an official release, a completed prototype has since surfaced and is available online. So for those that are big Atari fans, there you go. Get yourself an emulator and find Gatorman. Oh, and I don't know if we've made it obvious from the introduction, but this is the film that paired with Return of the Fly in 1959. This was the bottom half.
Yeah.
So that's the one we'll watch first.
Yeah, the B movie.
Yeah. But I had a lot of fun with this. This is dumb fun sort of creature features I enjoy. And I quite like this idea of this added twist, because when she's with the doctors at the beginning, she has a different name to what she says she has when she's in this past event. So it does make you kind of wonder what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a framing device, but it's one that I think kind of works. I mean, it's not necessary. They could have just gone straight in on it, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I'd have preferred it if they had.
It's also not the same actor that was her husband as well when it's the man in the gator suit.
Yeah.
It goes from being Richard Crane, it goes from him, who was playing the husband, to being Boyd Stockman, and he's not credited.
Poor guy.
There's also a lot of help staff in this that are uncredited, like the nurse, the maid, the butler, and a male nurse, and I think the maid and the butler were both black.
Yeah.
And they actually had lines as well.
Yep.
So it seems a bit unfair that they're not credited. But I guess that just shows the times that this was made, maybe.
Yeah, when alligator men roamed the earth.
You make it sound like they were born, but they were made. But I had a lot of fun with this one. This was probably my favourite out of the three.
It was cheesy. It was fun. It passed the time.
I think the gator effect makeup was really good when he was half gator in the trench coat.
I preferred it when he was half gator in the trench coat to when it went kind of full gator towards the end.
because he's got the mask that don't
the
quite...
mask was okay. I was more bothered about the top.
The skin-tight top that was clearly moving with creases and
kept
stuff.
creasing, and it really, it made me crease,
Yeah.
I guess. I enjoyed it. Title, I really expected more from this one for me.
I'll be honest, I wanted more alligator people, living in the sewers of New York or something.
I didn't know what
that's what I was expecting. I expected it to be playing on the trope about the crocodiles in the alligators in the New York sewer system or whatever that stupid urban myth is.
Yeah, just something, I don't know, I just expected something a bit more out there than, Odd Experiments isn't out there enough for me for this one.
He had that little ray do you remember? It had a ray that shot the light on him.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Yeah, I remember that high-pitched noise as well.
Yeah, that was a horrible noise.
Yeah, it was one of the worst noises.
But the music was really good on this one, I think. And I do think the actual prosthetic work and makeup effects were
pretty cool.
Solid.
Yeah.
There's definitely a great movie in there.
It's just not that one.
It was fun, though.
Oh, yeah.
And again, the lead actress really carries it.
I think Lon Chaney carried it.
I mean, he weren't in it enough, really. There's this crazy gator shooting man with one hand.
Lon Chaney as the hook-armed, hate-maddened Cajun.
I'll kill you, alligator man! Just like I'd kill any four-legged gator!
Lon Chaney Jr., sorry. Just to not get him confused.
But yeah, I thought Beverly Garland really carried this film. She was Miranda Wilson in one episode of Spider-Man the Animated Series, and she was Lois Lane's mum in Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman from the 90s, which was the Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher series.
Awesome. So they were both in a Superman.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Which is pretty good to say there's a new Superman movie on the way this year that I'm quite excited about.
Same.
She was also in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation too, but as far as I'm aware, no one really considers that as legit.
No.
That's Randy Quaid. Before he went missing.
Yeah.
It is Randy Quaid that kind of went missing, right? On the run type thing.
Yeah, on the run. I think he got found.
Yeah, who knows?
Can't remember.
This is the one I would say if you're going to watch any of these three, I would say go for this one, The Alligator People.
Go for The Alligator People.
Yeah. Because that's how Grandad did it, that's how Daddy did it, and that's how America does it today.
Alright.
Is that not what Tony Stark says in Iron Man? The first Iron Man?
Sure.
When he's got the Jericho bombs going off, he says a line like that, doesn't he?
He said Jericho, and I'm just thinking of
Chris Jericho.
Yeah, the learning tree.
Yeah. Well, maybe put the Iron Man clip in there and then a little quote from Jericho, whatever quote from Jericho you want.
That's how Dad did it, that's how America does it, and it's worked out pretty well so far.
I end up putting the learning tree now.
It sounds like you are, yeah.
I am the learning tree!
I'm sorry, people. Thomas edits this show, so any weird clips that make it, send your complaints to him.
I've had no complaints so far.
Yeah, they will. You ignore me.
Been heard on the podcast too.
They heard you ignoring me.
Yeah.
Is it like crickets or something?
Yeah.
Great stuff. I bet it was tumbleweed, actually.
Nah.
I'm on the Devils of Darkness IMDb page and it's playing some weird sci-fi trailer.
Is it Mickey 17?
That's
what I've got.
This looks like astronauts playing.
Yeah, they're in Mickey 17.
Yeah, it might be. The spacesuits look nice.
Anyway, does that mean you want me to talk about
Mickey 17?
Yeah, we'll talk about Mickey 17 now.
We could be watching that tonight.
Anyway, Devils of Darkness, you want me to move on to?
Yeah, The Darkness of Devils.
I keep thinking Daughters of Darkness.
Is that the one with the twin vampires?
What?
Daughters of Darkness. There's a pretty cool Hammer film I watched years ago.
Well, it
where
might
these,
be, but I'm just thinking of Hailstorm.
These twin vampire women.
Could be.
And I think Christopher Lee or Peter Cushing's in it.
Maybe. I don't know. I just keep thinking of Hailstorm song, so I get really distracted.
No, right. Good for you.
Thanks. Anyway, 1965's Devils of Darkness.
Well, look, Inspector, I've told you everything I know. Magic and the supernatural? Treasury of witchcraft?
Directed by Lance Comfort. I couldn't keep a straight face, I'll say.
People will probably hear it.
Oh, I don't know why. It's just a comforting Lance, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't know why I find it funny. And written by Lynn Fairhurst. Budget was $110,000.
Nice. Alligator People had 300,000 according to IMDb.
I couldn't find a...
I don't trust it.
I couldn't find a gross.
No.
It stars William Sylvester as Paul Baxter, Hubert Noel as Count Sinister, a.k.a. Armand Dumoulin, Carol Gray as Tanya, Tracy Reed as Karen Steele.
That's a great name.
Which?
Karen Steele.
That was the character name.
Yeah, I know. Still a great name.
Diana Decker as Madeline Braun, Rona Anderson as Anne Forrest, Peter Illing as Inspector Mellin. Synopsis.
Yes.
A secret vampire cult which has its headquarters beneath the town cemetery searches for victims for its human sacrifice rituals. Do you have thoughts on this?
Yeah.
I thought you would.
You can censor it. That fucking dance opening.
Yeah, alright.
It opened with a stupid dance thing, and it was like a gypsy cult thing. It turns out that was in the past, and it just kind of bothered me. It didn't need to be that.
I remember you saying not long into that scene, I hope this is relevant, because so far I don't think it will be.
Yeah.
I think that was halfway through that scene.
Yeah.
It hadn't even ended yet, and you already decided, I hope this is relevant.
It seemed to last a while, and it was unnecessary. They could have just opened with the bit where he puts the curse on that first wife, which was, what's her name?
Carol
That's
Gray.
from Curse of the Fly.
Yeah.
Which this was a double feature to, apparently.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't say that in this film's trivia.
No.
And when you ask Google what film paired with Curse of the Fly, it tells you it's Frankenstein meets the space monster, I think it was. And I kind of wish we'd done that instead.
Yeah.
I just imagine it was maybe more fun.
Maybe. We had two other fun films, and then I don't feel this was as fun.
Oh, I kind of preferred this to Space Master X7.
Oh.
Vampires.
But not.
If I'm right, this is called Talisman as well in some other places.
Yeah.
This is apparently, though, Britain's first vampire feature set in modern day instead of the past.
Yeah.
Or with a gothic style.
Yeah.
It was more contemporary. That really surprises me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kudos to it for that. But my favourite piece of trivia I saw for this is Herbert Knoll, the French actor that plays pretty much the lead vampire of the cult. He derived great amusement from the fact that his English co-workers had nicknamed him Bert Christmas. I feel that's something I would have done. So kudos for that. I really appreciated that anyway.
I thought you would.
Apparently Inspector Malin's name, Malin, Le Malin, is the French word for Satan, but it also means clever.
Right.
And there's also trivia on here that makes it seem like it's maybe based on a book or a chapter from a book. Have you seen?
Yeah.
Because it says it's from the book Talismans, The Power of Magic, MDCLXX5, which is 1675. Devils of Darkness, Count Sinestre, born 1588, Armand de Molloy, Parisian artist, was engaged in all manner of perversity and evil. He claimed his victims by hypnotic sorcery until in the village of Pelac, if I'm saying that right, Brittany, accused of being a vampire, he was buried alive. To those who followed his pursuit of the diabolic power of black magic, he was known as Count Sinestre. The creed of his initiates was to gain limitless power over God, demon, and man. Because it doesn't say it's based on a book when you look at the writing credits on this, does it?
No.
But that could be to do with the age of the book, maybe, the Talismans thing.
I don't know.
So I'd be curious to know more about that. And apparently this is the last film of Diana Decker. She retired after this film at the age of 40.
Good on.
Wow, what a horrible thing to say.
What?
Again, that's about it for the trivia off here.
Yeah.
I thought the characters on this were pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, Hubert Noel, anyway. Incredible.
Yeah.
William Sylvester, on the other hand, who
No.
played Paul. Not as good. No. Carol Gray weren't in it as much as I thought, compared to how much she's in Curse of the Fly.
No, though it's quite a similar thing.
Yeah. Yeah. William Sylvester is known for 2001 A Space Odyssey from 1968, which obviously is the Kubrick sci-fi classic.
Yeah.
And he was in the famous TV show for an episode of BJ and the Bear,
Awesome.
where it's a man that works with a chimpanzee.
Great stuff. This is the one for me where I expected a lot more from what it was.
Yeah? I kind of expected this from the title. This is the one that I thought, well, and the alligator people really should have been the alligator person. I mean, there's kind of some other people, but they're barely a subject to the film.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I just expected a bit more from it because it was a few years later than the others as well.
I mean, I've seen some flack in reviews for this one saying that it's just a copy of the Hammer films at the time.
Yeah.
But I'm not so sure. If they chose to go with the modern contemporary setting for it, I think that's a pretty big swing just on its own.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's also similar to Space Master X7 as a way of grounding it.
Maybe.
If it's a little more of a familiar, natural setting than what people are used to for their vampire funfair. Makes you wonder, though, without this, would we have got Twilight? The answer's probably yes.
You trying to blame this?
It'd be nice to blame something for Twilight, is all I'm saying.
The writer of it?
Yeah, what's she called? Stephanie Meyer, is it?
I don't know.
I thought this had a Batman or Superman link, and I'm not sure what it was.
I don't know.
Oh, this was, I think, the director's last film, because he died not long after this.
Yeah, I was looking up the director of this, and I was like, oh, he does do a movie called Daughter of Darkness.
Yeah, he also does Pit of Darkness.
We should have done these Darkness movies.
I thought this was quite interesting for vampire fiction.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I do feel it offers something a little different to what I've seen from that era.
I'm going to say it was a bit different, but at the same time, it just weren't very satisfying for me.
I think the biggest problem was the lack of mystery.
Maybe.
Because they're playing for a mystery and we're kind of following the mystery.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So if they'd have played more into the mystery of it, because you could have gone maybe a little more whodunit. Because there's a whodunit aspect to this, but I feel as an audience member we kind of knew because of that stupid opening.
Yeah, even without that, it just weren't very interesting for me. Just lacking in a lot of places. Even for the time, it weren't like greatly directed or anything. Well, cinematography or anything. But like you said on the previous ones, it's not really something they used to do.
It didn't seem as well thought of back then, especially on your cheaper movies like these.
Yeah.
Because what year was this? 65?
Yeah.
I already just mentioned how the Bond. And that started in, 62?
Yeah,
James
62.
Bond. And they've got their own, formulaic way of filming.
Yeah.
That's not all that different, really, from many films from them years. But I think Herbert Knoll was a great choice for the vampire. He had a real good charm to him. He reminded me of Edward Norton in a way. How he could just, own the screen without really doing anything. Edward Norton's one of them really great quiet actors.
Yeah.
His face kind of tells the story without saying anything in the scene, and Herbert Knoll was a little that way, I feel.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a European thing, not that Edward Norton's European, but when you look at European actors in general compared to your American, they seem to be a bit more character-based, I feel.
Yeah.
Whereas America are more action-based. They're trying to do something all the time in frame.
Maybe.
And European actors seem to be a lot happier just not moving and do you know what I mean?
A bit, yeah.
There's some actors, you can tell they're always trying to find something to do with their hands, so they just sit them in their pockets. You notice on some of the older films, some actors don't know what to do with their hands, so they'll pick something up on the set and fiddle with it and whatnot.
Like Indiana Jones's mate, who pockets that apple.
No, that's a real thing. I'm guessing he took the apple because he thought he was owed the apple. If you think of themes about the apple and the fact that he took this apple that India earned, you'd assume he was going to be the bad guy of the film.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about Indiana Jones, damn you.
Sorry, probably more interesting.
That's a bit harsh.
But true.
A little true. Well, I thought this was pretty good. I think they could have, again, similar to the other two, similar to Space Master X, it could have been explored a little better. Alligator People, you couldn't really explore it any better than they did, I don't feel, for their time.
For me,
maybe, actually.
This one just doesn't really do anything.
This is the longest of the three, though, and it definitely feels it.
It felt a lot longer than it was.
Because I think the other two are an hour and a quarter, and this is an hour 25.
Yeah, I think quite a bit longer for me.
Strangely, I think we forgot to mention, this was in colour.
Oh, yeah.
But the trailer, from what I've seen, if I'm right, appears to be black and white.
Yeah, I think they tried to play into the horror thing, but then why didn't you do that for the movie? But then again, contemporary setting.
Yeah, but red's quite a prominent colour with the robes that they're wearing.
Yeah.
In his cult.
I think maybe they wanted to do a bit more horror in the trailer.
Oh, I haven't got through all my notes on this.
No.
That spelunking gear looks new. It looks like they have spelunking as a hobby because they go through them caves, but their gear looks brand new, never worn, and they look to have more gear than they really needed for that cave by far.
Yeah.
I just weren't impressed that the cave looked kind of clean, and so did their brand new gear. Mucky it up, for God's sake.
It weren't a thing back then to mucky it up.
That's a big problem I have with a lot of the old westerns.
I know.
I also wrote, Gypsy Curse stuff again. I don't know why I wrote again.
Do I think what are the films we've covered that have done Gypsy Curse?
I also wrote this inspector could be Poirot. I'm guessing he had a moustache. This back crest they're all looking for seems to be of no significance. That's the actual talisman.
Yeah.
Paul reminds me of Lazenby Bond for some reason. I forgot that, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's also a Dance with a Snake in this by one of the vampire women.
Yeah.
I've put Dusk Till Dawn, ?
Yeah.
Because from Dusk Till Dawn, obviously, you get Helma Hayek? That's not her name. Selma Hayek? Oh my god, I broke my brain. Which way round is it? It's got to be Selma Hayek, right?
Yeah.
She dances with the snake when we meet her in From Dusk Till Dawn from Robert Rodriguez. And I know Robert Rodriguez is like a B-movie sort of guy, isn't he? So I'm wondering, does he know this and that's where the snake dance came from? Or is the snake dance thing just a coincidence?
I think it's more coincidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I'm going opposite.
All right.
I think Rodriguez saw this and was like, what a great idea for vampires because snakes have fangs.
And you thought I can do that better.
Yeah. And then he did.
Yeah.
Have a favourite scene or anything you actually liked about this film? Because I feel like you're very negative on it.
This film, I don't know, I was really disappointed with it. I can't really think of much positives to say.
Christ.
I think you've said what's
I've
sort
said
of
them,
good
have I?
about it.
Okay.
I just can't really add to that.
I mean, it's free to watch on YouTube.
That was great.
Be warned for YouTube ads. I think we got spammed with them, it felt like.
Yeah, in
Every
comparison
10
to the
minutes
other
or so, and
ones.
the others had no ads at all.
Yeah,
I'm guessing this got more watchers than the others.
maybe.
Although, like I said, this seems to be a little more historic in a way for the fact that it's the first British vampire horror to be contemporary setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree. Well, all of these could be better.
Yeah.
But I've not seen much said about the Alligator People online. And you'd think starring Lon Chaney Jr. that would be something, because he's got quite a big fan base for being one of the original monster movies at Universal and reprising that role several times since.
Yeah.
Do you have any closing thoughts?
Overall?
Yeah, overall. Unless you want to add more to this.
I really can't. I do sound really negative on this. It's not as bad as I make it sound. It's an alright film. It's just, I don't know, I think this is the only one of these where I did expect a lot more from it. And I don't know what.
Maybe because it was newer as
Maybe.
well.
I really don't know, but there was something about it and I just felt like it was really lacking.
Oh, that's something I wanted to say. This is colour, but Curse of the Fly, the same year, is black and white.
Yeah.
And this plays before Curse of the Fly.
Yeah.
And although this plays before Curse of the Fly and it's in colour, I think I prefer the big swings Curse of the Fly is taking.
Oh yeah, that movie's nuts.
Weird experiments of accursed scientists turn human beings into living hybrid hell monsters. Now you hold hands with the devil.
For all the right reasons, though.
Yeah.
I mean, for all I care, you could skip Return of the Fly and just watch The Fly and Curse of the Fly.
Yeah, but don't do that.
But if you're watching these B movies that pair with it, do not skip The Alligator People. It's the best of the bunch. Although maybe thematically too similar to The Fly, because it's like man with alligator head, man with fly head,
Yeah.
right? And all these films, all but this one, Devils of Darkness, it's like going too far with science is bad.
Yeah.
Whereas this, it's like, careful of that French vampire you'll make friends with.
Yeah, I guess.
Doesn't promote holidays anyway, let's put it that way.
Nah, but what does? Because Alligator People did it.
Butlins.
I don't think Alligator People exactly.
Butlins.
Alligator People doesn't really promote holidays either.
What's that other one like? Butlins a lot of people like.
I don't know.
Whitewater Valley.
I don't even know what you're spouting at me for with these. I'm
There's
on
weird
about films.
holiday parks like Butlins.
I'm on about films.
You said what promotes holidays?
I'm on about films.
Okay.
I'm saying Alligator People didn't exactly promote holidays.
National Lampoon's Vacation?
That definitely promotes holidays.
Well, there you go.
Out of these, I actually think Space Master 7 was the best one.
Well, I say the Alligator People.
Well,
and I think if they had to fight, I think Alligator People would win.
That's because they're Alligator People.
Yeah. They'll just eat red rust.
Blood rust.
Whatever.
Give the Alligator People blood rust.
It's the crossover that 50s cinema needed. The Alligator People get blood rust. The swamps are just overrun by blood rust. Well, that was it. They actually looked like an Alligator People, like they were filming on a real swamp.
Yeah. I don't know why they were filming.
And some of them alligators were really docile, because they were.
Yeah.
It looked like they were alive alligators, and they're just running about with them.
Great, wasn't it?
A little dangerous, though.
Good on
That,
the
that
actor.
also gave me great respect for that film.
Yeah.
And the actress that had to pretty much run around near one.
Yeah.
Remember that snake, though, and Lon Chaney picks it up with his hook hand? That was a good bit, wasn't it?
Any bit with Lon Chaney was great.
Yeah, it was. You see this? This is why I shoot gators. They bit my hand.
Something like that.
He deserved it.
Be.
Maybe.
Mm.
I've just got a movie get advertised on IMDb called Devil Doll.
Good for you.
It looks like one of them that ventriloquists have.
Ventriloquist dummy.
Yeah. Like one of them going around eating people's hands off in that clip.
Great.
It was black and white.
Great.
I think it was William Sylvester in that it just said the name of, but it's disappeared and gone back to Mickey 17.
Yeah.
If this is Mickey 17. I've not even seen Robert Pattinson.
Now you're just watching Mickey 17.
Sorry.
Do you want to sign us out before you get mesmerised by Robert Pattinson?
He's the Batman.
Do you want to sign us out?
Yes.
Are we done?
I've got nothing more to say,
All
especially to you.
Good. I've had enough. So that's the end of the show. Thank you for joining us this week. And if you haven't already, Click like and subscribe.
Click, click.
Hope you're not going to start doing that.
Sorry, start again if you want.
So that's the end of the show. Thank you for joining us this week, and if you haven't already, click like and subscribe. A glowing review would also be appreciated. We are Cynic_Critique on X and Instagram, and Cynic-Critique on Blue Sky. Links to those and more can be found in the show's description, and remember to join us next week as we're following up John Carpenter's The Thing with the concluding films in the Apocalypse trilogy with Prince of Darkness and In the Mouth of Madness. Thank you, and goodbye.
Goodbye.
You can forget about Stephen King. Kane outsells them all.